The way you eat sardines could quietly be working against you, not because sardines are unhealthy. In fact, they are one of the most nutrient-dense foods you can buy. But because small, almost invisible mistakes can strip away their benefits, ruin their taste, and in some cases, affect your health. And the most surprising mistake? It's probably the one you feel most confident about. Think about the last time you opened a can. Did you automatically drain something? Rinse something? Toss something aside? Leave it sitting in the fridge a little too long? Almost everyone does at least one of these without even thinking. And here's the strange part. The more careful people try to be, the more damage they sometimes do. Stay with me, because the final mistake we'll uncover is the one that costs people the most nutrition over time. And once you see it, you won't look at a can of sardines the same way again. Let's start with something that feels harmless. When people open sardines, many immediately start removing the tiny bones. It feels logical. With bigger fish, bones are sharp and dangerous. So your brain says, remove the risk. That instinct makes sense in other situations. But here, it backfires. Sardine bones are pressure cooked during canning until they become soft and fully edible. You don't even feel them once you start chewing. And those little bones are not waste. They're one of the richest natural sources of calcium in seafood. In a single serving, you can get a significant portion of your daily calcium needs. That supports bone strength, muscle contraction, and nerve signaling. When people remove the bones, they're often trying to improve the eating experience. But in reality, they're paying more for less nutrition. Some even buy deboned versions at a higher price, not realizing the fish is often more broken apart and nutritionally reduced. The irony is powerful. The part that looks least appealing is often the most valuable. Now here's where psychology plays another trick. Many shoppers reach for sardines packed in water because it feels lighter and healthier. Fewer calories, less fat. It sounds responsible. But this is where surface thinking can mislead you. Sardines are naturally rich in omega-3 fatty acids. These fats support heart health, brain function, and inflammation balance. When sardines are packed in quality oil, especially olive oil, that oil helps preserve the fish's natural fats and protect them from oxidation. It also improves texture and taste. Water-packed sardines, on the other hand, often taste drier and less satisfying. Water does not protect the natural oils the same way. Over time, flavor fades faster. And because the experience is less enjoyable, people are less likely to eat sardines consistently. Consistency is where the long-term benefit lies. So sometimes the option that looks lighter actually reduces both taste and nutritional payoff. That small decision in the grocery aisle compounds over months. Let's go deeper. Have you ever opened a can, eaten half, and left the rest sitting in the fridge in the original tin? It feels convenient, but once exposed to air, oxidation begins. The healthy fats that make sardines valuable slowly start to break down. The longer they sit exposed, the more flavor and nutritional quality decline. And here's something many overlook. Leaving fish in the opened metal can can accelerate off flavors. Transferring leftovers into a clean, airtight glass or food-safe container slows that process. Oil-packed sardines typically last a couple of days refrigerated. Water-packed ones often deteriorate faster. After about a week, regardless of type, they should not be eaten. This isn't about fear. It's about preserving what you paid for. Now consider storage before you even open the can. Canned does not mean invincible. Heat, moisture, and direct sunlight speed up degradation. Leaving sardines near a stove, in a humid pantry, or exposed to temperature swings shortens their shelf life. Acidic sources like tomato can also interact differently over time compared to oil-packed varieties. If a can is bulging, leaking, heavily dented along seams, or rusted, it's not worth the risk. Most people ignore these signs because it's probably fine. But small negligence repeated over years can add up. Now here's a mistake that surprises many people. Some rinsed sardines under water before eating them. The intention sounds good. Reduce salt, reduce oil, make them cleaner. But rinsing washes away flavor compounds and nutrients that have mingled with the packing liquid over time. Fat-soluble vitamins and omega-3 rich oils don't just sit on the surface. They interact with the liquid, and rinsing does not meaningfully remove the sodium absorbed into the fish itself. So the action that feels like an upgrade often downgrades both taste and value. If sodium is a concern, choosing lower sodium varieties or balancing salt elsewhere in the meal is more effective than rinsing. Now pause for a moment. You might be realizing that several of these habits are things you've done automatically. That's not a mistake. It's human nature. We act on simple rules. Remove bones, choose lower fat, rinse salty food, store it later. But nutrition doesn't always follow simple instincts. And we're only halfway through, because the costliest mistake is still ahead. Some people avoid sardines completely because they believe they are too fishy. That word alone has scared thousands of people away from one of the most affordable superfoods available. But let's examine that belief carefully. Fresh, well-stored sardines should taste clean, slightly briny, and savory. If they taste aggressively unpleasant, something went wrong. Poor storage, low-quality processing, or improper pairing. But instead of investigating the cause, most people simply conclude, I don't like sardines. Your brain labels the experience once, and then avoids it permanently. But taste is adaptive. The more frequently you eat nutrient-dense foods, the more your brain begins associating them with nourishment. Over time, subtle sweetness and richness become noticeable. What once felt strong begins to feel satisfying. Often, it isn't the sardine that's the problem. It's what you pair it with. Sardines are rich and oily. That means they need contrast. Bright acidity from lemon juice, vinegar, tomatoes, or pickled vegetables cuts through the richness and makes the flavor feel balanced. Fresh herbs add lightness. Crunchy vegetables add texture. When people combine sardines with heavy creamy sauces or overly sweet toppings, the result becomes overwhelming. Then they blame the fish. So instead of avoiding sardines, adjust the environment around them. A squeeze of lemon can completely transform the experience. That tiny shift changes everything. Now here's another subtle mistake. Many people eat sardines only straight from the can. Convenient, yes, but limiting. When eaten the same way repeatedly, your brain gets bored. Boredom reduces consistency. And consistency is what delivers long-term nutritional impact. Sardines are not just a snack. They're an ingredient. Mash them with avocado or yogurt for a protein-rich spread. Stir them into warm pasta at the very end. Add them to eggs in the morning. Toss them into salads with crisp vegetables. Pair them with whole grains for a complete meal. When you expand how you use them, you increase how often you use them. That's how small habits turn into measurable results over months and years. Now we arrive at one of the most misunderstood issues. Expiration dates and storage rotation. People assume canned foods last forever. They don't. While sardines can last years if stored properly, oils slowly oxidize over time, especially when exposed to heat. Tomato-based varieties, being more acidic, can break down faster than oil-packed ones. Rotating your cans matters. Use older stock first. Store them in cool, dry places. Avoid temperature extremes. These small behaviors protect both flavor and safety. But none of these are the most costly mistake. The one that costs people the most long-term is this: draining and discarding the oil without thinking. That golden liquid is not just excess fat. During storage, a slow exchange happens between fish and oil. Flavor compounds migrate. Fat-soluble nutrients disperse. Omega-3 fatty acids blend into the surrounding oil. When you pour it down the sink automatically, you may be throwing away a significant portion of what makes sardines valuable. If calorie intake is a concern, portion control is smarter than automatic disposal. Use a small amount. Drizzle it over vegetables. Stir it into rice. Dip whole grain bread into it. Use it to sauté onions or garlic. It becomes a built-in flavor enhancer that carries nutrition with it. Most people discard it because they've been trained to fear dietary fat without context. But context matters. Sardine oil, especially when it's olive oil based, is not the same as ultra-processed seed oils found in many packaged snacks. It carries nutritional synergy. The fats help absorb fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin D. And this is where everything connects. When people remove the bones, rinse the fish, choose water packs without understanding why, store them poorly, pair them badly, eat them the same way every time, and drain the oil automatically, the cumulative loss becomes significant. None of these mistakes alone seems catastrophic, but repeated weekly for years, that's where the difference shows. Now, who should exercise caution? Sardines are high in purines, which can raise uric acid levels. Individuals prone to gout should moderate intake and consult their healthcare provider. They also contain sodium, so those with salt sensitivity or high blood pressure should look for low-sodium options and balance their overall diet. If someone has kidney conditions, professional guidance is important. For most healthy individuals, however, sardines are one of the safest seafood choices due to their naturally low mercury levels compared to larger fish. So here's the bigger picture. Sardines are small, affordable, unimpressive in appearance. They don't look glamorous on social media. But inside that small tin is concentrated nutrition. Protein for muscle repair, omega-3s for heart and brain support, calcium for bones, vitamin D for absorption, and essential micronutrients that many diets lack. The tragedy isn't that people don't have access to powerful foods. It's that they mishandle them without realizing it. Now you know better. The next time you stand in front of the shelf, you'll pause longer. You'll choose more intentionally. You'll store more carefully. You'll pair more wisely. And you won't discard value out of habit. Small awareness creates long-term advantage. If this changed how you see sardines, imagine what other everyday foods you might be underestimating. Keep learning. Keep adjusting. Because health is rarely about dramatic overhauls. It's about removing small, silent mistakes that compound over time. And once you stop making them, everything works better.